working with community-based organizations across the country. These days, she's executive director and a member of the board of directors of the National Association of Latino Arts and Culture. Under her leadership, the association launched a grant program for Latino artists and organizations, finished a PBS documentary, and much more. In 1974, she used her journalism background to co-found and serve as editor of the bilingual newspaper El Mestizo. Please welcome Maria Lopez de Leon of the National Association of Latino Arts and Culture, a SphinxCon founding partner.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure being here, and I thank the committee who organized this conference for inviting me to be part of this conversation. This is my first time in Detroit, and I really do want to have an opportunity to see the community and get to know Detroit so much better. I want to start today just by showing you a short little clip of Latino artists and some of the work that they're doing, the very diverse, dynamic, and vibrant work that's taking place across the nation.
Latino artists are seizing the moment now. From Pulitzer Prizes to MacArthur Genius Awards, United States Artist Fellows, Tony Awards, Academy Awards, Grammys, and countless other accolades, Latino artists are being recognized for making an impact, creating great works, and expanding what is art and culture in the United States.
And the Tony Award for Best Score, In the Heights. Lyrics by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
I used to dream about this moment, now I'm in it. Tell the conductor to hold the baton a minute. I want to thank all my Latino people. This is for Abuelo Wisin and Puerto Rico. Thank you.
And for every award winner, there are hundreds of artists who are working diligently and creatively to carve paths and new ideas in cities, towns, and communities all over America.
The border is a psychological, sexual, spiritual border that is not particular to the Southwest. The borderlands are present wherever two or more cultures edge together, where people of different races occupy the same territory, where under, lower, middle, and upper classes touch.
Many Latino artists come from humble beginnings and have a cultural understanding of struggles, and have been able to translate that into becoming creators of communities and builders of movements while establishing our artistic society by making art that matters.
You represent a part of me people said I could never claim. You give me the language to speak my identity fluently for the first time. This was never just dancing, and maybe it's because I'm the only one that can get to you. The 22-year-old in you, the joy, the smile that forgets to show itself on most days. I make me feel useful. You make me feel like I come from some place. So who needs a map anyway when I got you?
We are harvesting the work of the many trailblazing artists who have been creating work for several decades, embracing a current generation of artists and mentoring new ones. We celebrate all of our artists who are experimenting with contemporary technology, challenging tradition, preserving heritage, redefining aesthetics, embracing folklore, and creating a vast landscape of images, sounds, words, and movements. Latino artists are on the forefront of innovation and are altering the coordinates between aesthetics, politics, institutional, and community-based practices. They are generating new models for creative thinking and at times keeping in step with traditional forms.
Dear Hernan, you don't remember me. Last I saw you, crawling in diapers were your entire world. You know, my mother died when I was 16. A few days before the viewing, I received this suit in the mail from a great uncle in PR with a note saying wear it to the funeral. It was a godsend, because I barely had $2 to pay for mommy's service, let alone a suit to wear.
Using a suit to stand as feeling to surge. Like I could like, not liking it. It's my fault we live in radical times. It's their fault, man. Poking about in this, dude, poking about in this fight, poking about this, poking about this, poking about this. This is a dot 4, siege, counter siege, siege, counter siege, siege. Skipping a slide to smug the streaking to Smith. It's like I could like, not liking it.
Who is here and creating work? And who will be here in the coming years to continue the bright, rich line of Latino arts and culture? We are engaged in a generational translation of our history, an experiential encounter with our present, and an envisioning of what it is to come for our field. As we see these images, some recognizable and the rest we will come to know, we see a parade of progress and achievement, a parade that we are all a part of.
And I just wanted to share that. It was something that we used at our recent national conference that we convened in Philadelphia. And I just wanted you to see, I know you know many Latino artists in many communities, but there is some wonderful work that is happening out there. And unfortunately, a lot of the work that is not supported in our communities, our arts and cultural organizations, our many artists, not only in Latino communities, but other diverse communities, this work is not supported in an equitable and just way. And so that brings me to the organization, to my organization, NALAC. We were founded 24 years ago, and we are the only service organization for the Latino arts here in the United States. And I'm proud to say that here in the audience is one of the founders of NALAC, Marta Moreno Vega. Wherever she is, I'd like to have her stand up. Thank you, Marta. Thank you for that. NALAC was founded by a group of Latinos and Latinas from across the country who felt that there needed to be an organization to speak on behalf of Latino communities, Latino artistic communities here in the country. So our goal is to promote and develop and really raise the visibility of Latino arts and cultures here in this country. And some of our programs include the national conference that I just referenced, and this is the only conference that brings together the Latino arts community, the national Latino arts community, where we can speak about the issues that we face, where we can talk about solutions, and where we can get an opportunity to see each other's work and get to know the type of work that we are doing across the country. One of our signature programs is our NALAC Leadership Institute. We've been doing this for 12 years now, and we created this in 2001 because we felt that we had to really prepare the next generation of leaders to continue the work that needs to be done in our communities through art and culture, and to prepare them to work in any sector, in the national arts sector, anywhere across the country. Over the last 12 years, we've graduated over 200 alumni from the Leadership Institute. We also have an advocacy training institute in Washington, D.C. that again prepares these young leaders how to advocate on behalf of Latino arts, to raise the visibility, to really change the way policies are made that distribute the funding to our communities, to our artistic communities. We have regional arts training workshops, which is really our on-the-ground organizing efforts. We come into communities, meet with artists, meet the community, and the work that we do in these communities is not only for Latino artists. We invite everyone, and everyone to get to know each other, to come together and have the important conversations and to really embrace the work that's being done. The NALAC Fund for the Arts, I think, was referenced. NALAC has 3 grant programs. We've awarded over $1 million to Latino artists and Latino organizations across the country, and we felt that we had to develop this fund because of the undercapitalization of our artists and our organizations. They are just not receiving the funding from many of the major foundations, corporations, to do their work. So we created the NALAC Fund for the Arts, and I know that there's other partner organizations here in the audience as well, such as NPN and APAP, who also support a diverse community of artists. And we also have a transnational program that really is not only about exchanges, but it is about bringing communities in the U.S., Mexico, and Central America together to talk about how migrations and immigration really impacts how culture evolves, how artistic aesthetics evolve as people travel across borders. Our Diverse Art Spaces Grant Program provides support to diverse organizations, many mainstream organizations, to bring Latino artists into their spaces. And our advocacy work continues with many national organizations. And I don't want to spend a lot of time just talking about NALAC's work, but talk about why we're here. Diversity has been a conversation that has been going on for the issue of diversity in the arts for a long, long time. I found myself at many tables throughout the years, and I see nothing change. Really, nothing changes, and I think that we really need to start thinking about our communities, about the diverse communities, whether Latino communities, African American, Asian, Native, that we need to see them as people. See us and appreciate us, our people, our culture, our art, what we create, and what we bring to this nation. And when you see us as people, I think that you will embrace us and engage us. Get to know who we are. What is the fear of going into our communities? What is the fear of learning about the work that we do? We bring a different historical perspective. It's very different. And we have to understand and accept that there's institutional, political, racial, historical dynamics that need to be changed if there's to be equity. It's not just a matter of bringing people into your audience, but putting them on your boards, talking to them, seeing how they can integrate with the work that you do, how you can integrate with each other, embrace our communities. And I think that will be the solution, and I can't say too much more about diversity because I've been talking about it for a long time. The organization that the work that my organization and other organizations such as MPN, Alternate Roots, First Peoples Fund, we're coming together to do the work because we recognize that together we'll have much more impact than if we work alone. But we are the new reality, and we are here, and we do not want to isolate ourselves. we are part of what America is today. So please accept us, embrace us, and integrate us into what you do. Thank you very much.
If you've ever seen xylophones rolling down a supermarket aisle or a spontaneous opera in the Macy's shoe department, you might have experienced a random act of culture. That's one initiative our next speaker oversees as Vice President of the Knight Foundation. He's also a decades-long collector of contemporary art and has helped world-renowned museums make strides in their own collections. A former attorney and CPA, the winner of 3 regional Emmys, and a current Harvard Fellow, it seems he's done a bit of everything. He's even co-founded an award-winning wine label called Betts and Scholl. Please welcome Dennis Scholl of the Knight Foundation, a SphinxCon founding partner and a generous sponsor of the Sphinx organization.
So before I start, we've been lauding Aaron for like a day and a half now. Okay, is Aaron here? Is he here? Okay, great. Just want to make sure you're here before I get going. So, thank you. So, before I came here, I get like 3 emails saying, "Hey, it's casual. Wear jeans. I'm gonna be wearing jeans. Stand up. Come on, stand up. Okay? Dude's rocking Brioni, and I got my Wranglers on, okay? Okay. You can trust him, but you can't trust him on dress code, is all I'm saying. So it is amazing to be here. I was so excited with Maria's presentation because during her video, she was showing some of the great artists of our time recently. Not the great Latino artists, the great artists. And we were fortunate enough at the Knight Foundation to be the lead funder for Raphael's project in Philly. We just funded a residency that Margarita Cabrera, who I love as an artist, attended. We also, in another foundation I'm involved in, just acquired 1,000 butterflies that she created. So it's really great to see that level of achievement by really some of the greatest artists of our time. At the Knight Foundation, we get up every morning with the goal to create informed and engaged communities. One of the ways we do that is through the arts. And a little while ago, we started this program that in the way I was introduced, called Random Acts of Culture. And it all started when a guy sent me a YouTube video from Valencia, Spain, of all places. And I get random stuff all the time when you give away money for a living. People like to get in front of you. So I turned it on, and it starts, and there's no sound or anything. It's just, the marketplace. There's a guy selling fruit over the counter. About to click it off, thinking, somebody just sent me another weird video. And suddenly he begins to sing opera. And then across the counter in this big marketplace in Valencia, Spain, a woman who's selling coffee beans begins to sing back. And they come out from behind their counters, and they go to the center of the market. And then the crowd begins to gather, and 4 other people come out and start singing. I mean, it was tremendous. Take a look at this. Anybody know what the sign said? So you think you don't like opera, huh? So I get very excited, and I have a lot of friends in the audience. You guys know when I get excited, weird things begin to happen. So I thought to myself, what would happen? What would happen if we brought this idea back to America, reached out and got all of these wonderful professionally trained artists we have in America, and we began to ask them to do this? What would happen if we took them out of the symphony hall and put them in the streets? And so we started to do that. And we even started to do it right here in Detroit with our brothers in arms here, the Sphinx Foundation. So take a look at what happened at the Honeybee Market in Detroit. Xavier, you here? Oh, there he is. Okay. So you might have noticed Xavier, the guy that's been, banging a lot of this out for the last couple of days. That was him sitting in the market. He's playing something called the cajon. Now in Miami, that means something different. I asked him 3 times yesterday. He kept telling me it was the cajon. So okay. So now when people experience a random act of culture, they don't know what's coming. It could be at Macy's. It could be at the farmer's market. It could be at the airport. But when it happens, everyone is always surprised. The look on their faces is just always priceless. So take a look at a couple of the faces on the folks that have been introduced to their first random act of culture. Classical music at the Chick-fil-A in Macon, Georgia. But suddenly you're sitting there and you hear opera singers. You hear somebody playing chamber music. You might hear a horn section playing West Side Story. And there are 3 stages to a random act of culture. That is when you're on the receiving end, of course. So the first stage is that you get angry. You're at the airport. You're hunkered down. You're there 2 hours early. You're angry because it took a long time to get through security. You're reading your Kindle. You got the Dre beats on. You're sitting in your seat like this. And all of a sudden, the guy next to you stands up and starts playing the trombone. And so you're a little freaked out. But then you figure it out. You're like, okay, so you're not going to get hurt. He's not going to beat you with the trombone. He's just playing the trombone. So then you're a little confused because you look around and the guys that were sitting next to you, there's 5 of them playing trombones all of a sudden. You say, why would all these people getting on my plane start to play a trombone? So then, of course, there's the payoff, and that is the joy. Because when you're there and you're fortunate enough to experience a random act of culture live, it really changes things. And you really know that you were in the right place at the right time. Now, we've done a lot of these. But perhaps our most successful one was the one we did with our partners, newly named Opera Philadelphia. And we reached out to the Philadelphia environs with them, and we asked choral singers to show up at the Wanamaker building in downtown Philadelphia. Mr. Wanamaker had a department store back in the early 1900s. It's now a Macy's, and Macy's has been an amazing partner for us, letting us go in there to stop traffic, day after day, place after place. But Mr. Wanamaker had this building in which he installed a 20,000 pipe organ. It's the largest pipe organ in the world. So we asked these choral singers to show up in the atrium of the Wanamaker building at 1 o'clock on a Saturday, and they began to sing. And here's what happened. There's always somebody out in the audience who's singing along. I love that. So, now, the great thing about this is that, okay, maybe 100, 200, in this case maybe 500 people got to see it, but the big payoff for us has been in technology, in recording some of these. We put about 70 or 80 up, putting them on the web. I remember when we put that one up, and people started to watch it, and suddenly the clicker on YouTube began to smoke like a car tire spinning. And to this day, approximately 8 million people have watched that opera video. You don't see a lot of people sitting through opera videos nowadays. Then what happened is it got a lot of traction. It began to take off, and we got people that began to emulate it, to pay homage to it, I like to say. And with the people that have copied this idea, over 50 million people have seen it. Now, those are Lady Gaga numbers. I don't know about you guys, but that felt pretty good. But why do we do this? Because we've got to find a different way to reach people. We've got to find a way, and that's what we're trying to do here. So what Random Acts of Culture does is it simply reminds people that the classics are still important to them. You may have heard your first piece of classical music in Fantasia. That's probably where I heard mine. It doesn't really matter. Let me ask you guys, it's kind of a preaching to the choir audience here, but how many of you really care about the classics still? Raise your hand if you care about the classics.
Votre temps je peux vous les rendre, Seigneur, car avec les sodas, les spectateurs perdent la tête, les spectateurs s'interpellent en gros fracas. Votre sauce, les spectateurs perdent la tête, les spectateurs s'interpellent en grand fracas. Apostrophe, crisez la page, poussez jusqu'à la fin, car c'est la fête du courage, c'est la fête des gens de cœur. Allons en garde, allons, allons, songe bien, oui, songe combattant, quand un noir te regarde, et qu'il l'amour t'attend, toréador, l'amour t'attend. Toréador, en garde, toréador, toréador. Tout d'un coup, on fait silence, à que se passe-t-il? Plus de cris célestins, le taureau s'élance en bondissant hors de ta ville. Il s'élance, il entre, il frappe, en chevaroule, entraînant un picador. Ah, bravo taureau, la foule, le taureau va, il vient, et Flavacan, secouant ses banderilles, plein de feu, il coule, le cirque est plein de sang. Oh, ce sauve fragile cri, c'est ton tour maintenant. Allons, en garde, allons. bien oui songe combattant, qu'un noir te regarde et qu'il l'amour t'attend, toréador, l'amour, ah, ah.
Toréador, en garde, toréador, toréador. L'amour t'attend.
I love my job. So now you can say that you experience the 1,243rd Random Act of Culture thanks to our friends at the Michigan Opera. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. That was beautiful. That does it for this session. We start back up at 1:30, so there are a list of local restaurants in your programs if you guys need any suggestions. Thanks. That was amazing. I watched them online.